Nope. I don't know. Hello, YouTube.
Hello. Right on.
So, am I in frame?
Yes.
Okay. So, welcome to my home. I'm going to wait for some people to come in. Anybody in the chat want to ask me anything before I get started? I've obviously never done this before. You're watching me from my phone that I use every day. It has a cracked screen and a bad battery. It is a Samsung
9
9,
plus.
9 Plus.
Oh, we got 2 people.
Ooh.
So yeah, we'll hang out a little bit. You can ask us some questions, and then once we get a couple people, we'll get started. Matthew.
Matthew!
What's up, Matthew?
Hey, buddy. I like the videos. I like the Max Trex recovery board video. I don't know if they're the actual brand or not. I don't think they are, because I think you said you got them cheap. And I know they're not cheap. What's he saying? I can't
You ordered
read
that Bronco Sport yet? I don't want the Sport, Matthew. I want the full, what's it, Sasquatch?
She wants the real one. She wants the frame and solid axle and the. I think the Sport's a good competitor for the Subaru community. Like people that buy a Forester or an Outback or an Ascent, maybe. I don't even think they're that big. I think there's a lot of crossover, and the price is definitely right in line. So I think it's a good model, but it's not what we want, or it's not what she wants.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of different routes that I could go. If I wanted to stay at the same price point of the Baja, I was looking at the Xterra because I like something with a little bit of personality. But other than that, the Bronco Sport was pretty much the only thing that's actually, or sorry, not the Sport, the Bronco is the only thing that's caught my attention. So was there anything else that we looked at when we went out?
We looked at the FJ Cruisers.
Oh, yeah. They're like $40,000. And at that point, just get a Bronco. So,
I mean, a good condition used FJ, we were looking, it was like 40 grand for a 2013 or something with 30,000 miles. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I like the FJ. I like it a lot, actually. But I'm kind of with her at the same time, like, well, if we're going to spend that, you can buy a whole brand new Bronco and call it a day.
yeah, I've never had a desire to have an actual new car. So that's the first one that I thought would be kind of fun. Matthew said that Soft Roading in the West needs to get a Bronco Sport. I don't know if that's big enough for what Donald is trying to do.
I think the Sport is based on the Escape, whatever the Ford Car UV is. So I think like the frame, like the floor is actually an Escape, but then the body is specifically a Bronco Sport. And it wouldn't surprise me if they kill the Escape or whatever it is it's based on. It's not the Explorer. The Explorer is a lot bigger, but if Donald's wanting something bigger, I don't think this Sport is going to be big enough. And I don't think the Bronco itself is going to be a big vehicle. If it's competing with a JK, I've been in lots of JKs, and they're really not that big inside. I mean, you see them with 40-inch wheels or 37s tires, and they look big, but you get in them, they're not really that big. What else we got going on?
Or he needs a truck with a camper bed topper.
I like that. I told him to get 2 cars, actually. I told him to get a little Corolla hybrid, something to drive around with, and then get a giant vehicle. But we'll see what he does.
I think he might have his mind made up.
I think he does.
Yeah.
I know he does, but
Yeah. I don't know what it is. Bruce, you might know, but
I know nothing.
we'll let Soft Roading announce what he's gonna get.
I can't read that far.
Oh, I can move it closer. I didn't know if you wanted me to be your designated reader.
Wow, we've got 8 people.
8 people.
That's like this many. A couple of things just for the 8 people out there that are actually watching this. We do have some plans. We do plan to be more active here soon. Between winter and COVID, it really put a dent in a lot of our plans, needless to say. But I am going to be building the Suburban. I might have a couple how-to guides come out of it, but I don't think I'm going to go into super detail for it. I've found Sub Overland builds these pretty cool camper Suburbans, and honestly, if it wasn't for the fact that I'm decently handy and already have a Suburban, I might even buy one off of him. I think he's doing a good job for what it is. But that's the current plan with the Suburban, is get it running. Really wants the transmissions fixed, which is the biggest issue right now. Some maintenance items is done. We're going to be in it pretty cheap and plan to be camping with that thing. We'll still be Subaru focused.
We are avid backpackers, so it took me a long time to come around to car camping. But I think as we all get older, it is nice to have a little bit of a bed and a soft place to put your head down at night.
We did a week in the UP Upper Peninsula, Michigan last year, and we did that in the Outback, and we didn't film really any of it. I filmed a couple random things, but never really made out of it beyond Bundy Hill, which we stopped on the way in, or the way up. And that thing was packed to the gills. I think if I had a roof basket or a roof box or even a hitch box, we could have had a little bit more room and not felt too bad. But I mean, every time we wanted something out of the car, it was like playing Tetris. And I love Tetris, but
Not when you're trying to make a sandwich.
yeah, not when I wanted to make a sandwich or the dogs needed something out of the back. And I mean, even with the way the car was set up at the time, we were doing like 75 through UP because if you haven't been, UP is crazy because they're like 2-lane road, 65 miles an hour all day long. And you're doing 75 and getting passed by logging trucks. But when we were through there, we were getting upper 20s, 28, 27 miles a gallon, which is why I'm always cautious about putting something on the roof, especially for anything permanently mounted, because I can still get the EPA rated miles per gallon out of that vehicle, even though it's got the lift and the tires and everything. So, how was that? Any thoughts on the UP trip last year?
An UP trip. It was always my dream to go to the Upper Peninsula, so it was nice to finally make it happen. But I think what we're looking at now is kind of exploring some places in the surrounding states, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, be nice, Virginia. So looking to do some kind of long weekends or weeks out.
Matthew, if you're still out there, I'm not sure. Daniel Boone Backcountry Byway, I believe. We definitely have that on the list. It's only, I think I looked before, it's like 6 hours from here. So we definitely plan to stop by at some point. Although there was some other place, not Gatlinburg, some other place in Tennessee we were looking at too, where you went through you kayaked through a cave.
That's in Kentucky.
Oh, my mistake.
They're not all the same, Bruce.
Hey, I have a hard time convincing people West Virginia is a state.
It's not Western Virginia.
Yeah, they're like, oh, I got family over in Richmond. I'm like, that's cool.
We're different.
We got anything else going on?
Flexible solar panels on a roof rack. Good idea? Bad idea? Chubby adventurer wants to know.
I don't have a lot of experience with solar panels. Most of what I've done is gosh, pretty much nothing. I know I did the hybrid build on the 2000, and I wanted to do a solar setup, but when I looked at the cost of the solar setup, and when I looked at just how little energy would actually be going into that battery, I pretty much scrapped it. So I stopped there. With the Suburban, we're planning to do solar panels on the 2 back glass windows. Those are gigantic, and I want to keep the roof again clean, although it might end up with all kinds of stuff, but who knows. I just didn't like the idea of just slapping it on the roof, which is what Sub Overland does, which I'm sure works fine. But
yeah, we have looked at the PVC pipe to make a shower, and then it's heated by the sun. So that's kind of a cool way. And the best design that we saw was made a rectangle around the top of the Suburban. So you're using kind of the most square footage, but then you still have that space to have a roof rack up top.
yeah, for carrying stuff. Although now with the idea of putting all that on the Suburban and then towing with it, I wonder if it's going to blow another transmission. I'm going to quote myself if it does. I'm going to quote this exact video. So I'll let you know.
Matthew's asking Jackery versus the Aux Battery.
I assume by Aux Battery you mean like a auxiliary secondary battery? Oh man, that's tough. I like them both for different reasons. I like the Jackery because I can pick it up and move it to a different vehicle and it's held in by a ratchet strap. I like it's clean, compact, and everything you need. I mean, I believe the Jackeries are pure sine wave inverters along with the Yeti equivalent, whatever they're called, which is a big deal because the square wave converters, I have had issue actually with a laptop. It didn't want to run, or no, not a laptop. Something did not want to run on a square wave. So I have I think it's a 600 or 1000 watt Xantrix pure sine wave inverter that I had for a teardrop trailer that I never sold. I never got rid of it, just been sitting in the garage. But that by itself is probably $400 or $500. So yeah, I don't know if you're ahead or not really. And I'm sure the Jackery is using lithium battery, so it's light, and an auxiliary battery is kind of the tried and true, but that doesn't mean it's better. And I don't know if you're really going to be I don't know if you're going to be any cheaper to do an auxiliary battery at the end of the day, and that's assuming you have room to stuff it in the engine bay or stuff it in the spare tire well. I've seen both of her on the Suburban. I could do either of those and then some. The amount of space that thing has is stupid. I've got to rip those, the rock steps off, or what are they, the side steps? I got to rip those off.
Oh, in the
because otherwise I'm going to rip them off anyway.
Yeah. And the bumper's a bit of a problem. That's a rusty mess.
Yeah. I mean, I replaced the bumper on the Silverado, and it wasn't
that big of a deal.
It's not that bad. I should have recorded it. Sometimes I do things and I don't record it. Sorry. Just because I'm in a hurry, and you'd be surprised how much of a time sink it is to film something. Recently I changed out a catalytic converter on a Honda Element, and I started to film it and I just stopped because I just needed to bring up a shot and making sure it's a good shot and making sure I speak clearly, and then going back and editing, which I can do at any time. But just the stuff that happens, I'd say it probably triples how much time I have in a project to film it properly. So.
Yeah, and in the middle of the winter, I'm not going to go out to the garage and be the cameraman.
I was like laying on the garage floor and it was wet, and I was on cardboard and the cardboard was wet, and then the snow was melting in my face, and I was just like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Who we got?
Aslan, I don't know how to say it. Jordan. Frenchie, what's up?
What does ALNSM stand for? We were trying to figure it out the other day, and I don't know if it says it anymore.
I think I say Aslam, but I don't know if that's how we say it.
No, it's
ALNSM.
ALNFC. I'm cheating.
He said you didn't warn us about the live. We announced it at like 9 o'clock last night. We're not very good.
This is my phone. I wish I could show you. Like, my phone is just on a tripod right now. So, other things we got planned up. I've got a Ironman 4x4 suspension on the way, and I'm going to be doing a deep dive. There's probably going to be a how-to install video, and then there's going to be like a deep dive, in-depth review video, because they're making some pretty big claims, and if 90% of them true, I think this is a home run. But I don't go by the claims. I mean, I've learned my lesson there to just, people love, what is it? You can buy a cold air intake and get 35 horsepower from this. Like, no. Same thing with a K&N. No. Like, so I'm really going to be testing it. And in fact, I was building a ramp, an RTI ramp today, to test it. So if you can think of anything else, any other methods to test it, I've got a couple I've been throwing around. But if you can think of anything else, put it in the chat or leave it as a comment if you see this video later and not live.
Yeah, we're pretty excited about the Ironman. Nice set. This is our house, Matthew. This isn't a set.
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't you see the title? We're live streaming from home.
This is our home.
Yeah, so I think these are the big things, converting the Suburban to a camper and doing the Ironman conversion on the Subaru. We are hoping to get out west this summer to Colorado. We've done before, but that was really fun. Maybe as far as Oregon and California. We have some friends out there, some fellow YouTubers we'd like to meet up with. But if everything goes well, then we can go.
We had nothing set in stone, but we had plans last summer for this to happen, and that, I don't even want to talk about it. But I'd really like to see Ouray again. That was a fantastic little place.
That's in Colorado, in the southwest corner.
And then there's Southwest Utah, and we've got a good friend in Arizona and Phoenix, which I don't think is that far.
So either.
I'd like to see Las Vegas. There's lots of historic landmarks for the video game New Vegas there. And I'd like to see Crater Lake. I actually think that'd be really cool. And also Lone Pine, California. I found out recently the town that Tremors is in, Perfection, Nevada, is actually filmed in Lone Pine, California. And the buildings aren't there because the whole town was a set, but you can actually go to the same place. So if I'm there, I'm going there. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll see where Tremors was made. I have no problem with that. The problem is with these big adventures that you plan, we went to Colorado several years ago, about 5 years ago, and we spent 9 days there, and it felt too short. So, when you're making these big grand trips, it's difficult to kind of narrow down what you want to see, who you want to see. So we're hoping if the remote work situation is maintained and, if it allows us some time that we could really get out and get into it, then we'd really like to make it happen.
I'd really like to take the Bronco on some of those paths. That's assuming the Broncos are out. I'm yet to see one on the street. All I've seen are press demos, and I saw one, a guy was reviewing it, and it didn't even have an engine. Like, it was like a pre-production thing, and it was like, okay, but the Bronco Sports are out, but that's not really she's interested in. Again, going back to that topic. So if the Bronco is out, we're absolutely going to take it. And if the Suburban has to haul 2 cars on a trailer, it will.
We might be taking 3 cars.
We'll have a convoy.
Jordan says, don't forget the jump test.
The jump test?
Probably.
I am going to jump it.
Okay.
We were talking about that. I'm trying to figure out how to do that. Not even in a safe manner, but in a reasonably safe manner, because there's no such thing as safe. And I think seeing how it handles with all four wheels off the ground and coming back is going to be a good test of both the factory suspension and the suspension, which supposedly, again, they make this claim, is you're supposed to be able to, like, I think it's in their own ad that the car is actually off the ground. So I'm going to put it to the test. I really am. If I blow the strut tower out, I'll let you guys know.
We have another question.
Go on.
Chubby Adventure wants to know, I have a stock 2019 Outback looking at a 2-inch lift. What are my pros and cons?
Of the lift, or like what are your pros and cons of like what brand?
Or do you mean a lift versus the suspension upgrade that we're talking about?
Oh yeah, that's the pros and cons of the lift. The only cons I can think of on lifting Gen 5 Outback is the front sway bar end links like to snap. I've broken two, and I've broken a set of aftermarket ones that extend, which supposedly should have fixed it, but they still broke. Because the way the lifts are designed, they're actually just pushing the strut down in the front. So I think that's what that's got to go with. So either plan to disconnect the sway bar or plan to break your end links. I think I broke the first one at 40,000 and I broke the second one at 60,000. So overall, I'd say that's the only real downside. I don't see any real drop in mileage with the lift. The tires you do, but as far as just a 2-inch lift, there's a little bit of a increased wear on the CVs. Oh, there's probably increased wear on the CVs, but it's hard to quantify. I have quantified at least the sway bar end links. The rear end links aren't a problem because the entire rear subframe gets dropped because it uses that multi-link rear end, so it has to, or the wheel gets pushed forward. But the CVs have a shimmy at around 15, 18, 20 miles an hour on light. It's weird. It's light acceleration. So just driving normally, you'll feel it. But if you like get on it and hammer it, you don't feel it. We developed the CKE insert. Chris and I are good friends, and I tested probably a dozen of those things. But
And that's sold through ADF, right?
that's sold through ADF. I don't know if he's including it with the lift kits, but it's definitely recommended on him. I know they sold it, but I don't know if Chris is still, oh God, he's going to hate me. I don't know if Chris is still selling it exclusively through his own stuff. I think it's only through ADF right now.
Okay.
I don't think he has his own store because I know he had an eBay store and it got shut down because he said it was a Subaru part instead of a part for a Subaru. And so they claimed that he was like selling genuine Subaru products as that knockoffs as genuine market. But that was just some weird eBay thing, but I'm not sure. Did we get clarification on the pros and cons of the lift?
He said, if I'm soft roading, I should be okay.
Yeah.
If you don't have a lift, sure. I can't, we've had lifts on both of our vehicles for so long that I can't imagine not having one. But we are also, I mean, driving down the streets of West Virginia sometimes require a lift. So for daily driving, something that's lower to the ground is not practical. But I mean, if you have an Outback, sure, that's high enough for soft roading. I just feel like there's times that you're trying to get to campsites that there's going to be obstacles.
You'll have to either be on some pretty nice roads, pick pretty good lines, or accept some light scratches on the undercarriage, at least in my experience. I would prioritize, if you have a 2019 Outback and it is stock, I'd say tires and skid plates first, because the undercarriage is pretty vulnerable. If you have a 3.6, it uses the heavy-duty TR690 and the valve body on that, and the pan are on the bottom. If you have the 2.5, the pan is still at the bottom, but the valve body is on top. So you can still smash it open pretty easily. And same goes for the skid plate on the front. The oil pan sets pretty low, and it's pretty easy to dent that actually, because it's not really meant to have the force of, say, a car drive into it, and it shouldn't be. So.
Got a couple other.
Oh, we got all kinds of things.
So Matthew says, do the RTI test with and without sway bars too.
Yep, and I was thinking about doing a with and without sway bar on the factory suspension, with and without on the Ironman, with the front only, with the rear only. I mean, I've halfway built the ramp with just some scrap wood thus far, and it's pretty optimistic. I'll try and find a picture of it somewhere to post randomly.
Mike Beery needs caught up. He said, what are you installing Ironman on and jumping?
The Gen 5. the one in the thumbnail, or the one in the header of the main Outback. So
yeah, so it's going to be a big, I mean, the Ironman suspension is a big investment, and we're going to make a video, and we have a series of tests, and we're going to do kind of pre and post, so doing the series of tests before we install it and after.
That's something I wish I would have thought to do with the Ascent brake swap. Is I never tested it before. I only had data to go off of based on like car and driver and stuff, which I don't like, and which is why I only really mentioned it. But if we would have got a before video of the car stopping on that same road and an after, it would have been a not set in stone, but a pretty good indicator of if it actually helps stopping distance. I think it does, having towed with it twice now with those brakes, and towing with that car with no trailer brakes. I mean, the engine's up to it, the chassis is fine with it, the transmission's fine with it. It's like, but the brakes, the stopping distance is like measured in miles or kilometers for my international friends there.
Hey, we're starting to do that. Oh, Jordan wants to know, are skiing during winter?
Last time I went skiing was a Dropkick Murphys show, and I busted my knee up. So, no.
I'm willing to experiment with cross-country skiing, but I'm a little bit of a wimp when it comes to like vertigo and downhills. So I'll do, sorry, I'm talking to,
Yeah.
So we went tubing the other day and it was fun, but in general, I'm not a cold sports person. So I like to do disc golf and hiking and backpacking, and Bruce usually comes with me on a lot of those adventures. And normally the off-roading is something that we're doing to get to the trailhead. So it's kind of, you know, killing two birds with one stone kind of thing. So we've been able to explore a lot of parts of West Virginia doing that. But in general, I'm not a skier.
I'm not a skier. I've never snowboarded. I've only skied probably a half dozen times. And I do enjoy snow tubing, though. We were thinking actually this last snowstorm of taking the kayaks out and sledding with them, because we still have them. Yeah. What we got?
Yeah.
Are we caught up?
Just chatting. Yeah, I think we're caught up.
Nice.
We've got 12 faithful people online. We'll probably have a lot of people come and watch it after the fact. But
It's fine.
yeah.
I was just doing this because it was funny. But
Yeah, we wanted to try it out. All the cool kids are doing the live stream, so we thought we'd give it a go.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else I missed. RTI ramp. Like I said, I do plan to be putting out more videos. I know I kind of go through lulls where I don't, because, you know, this is just sort of a weird hobby of mine. This and moderating a forum. So I'm getting a new phone at some point, so hopefully the camera work will get better. Cameraman Tony, speaking of, let us borrow these lapel mics, which, hello, which I think really helps the audio quality. Especially this phone here lately, it hasn't been working well. In fact, I half expect this live feed to die randomly because that phone isn't happy lately. Critical Role, Iron Man Travel. Hey, building the Suburban. said, I'll probably have a couple how-tos. I'm not going to go too in-depth with it. Just the stuff that's not really well documented. The stuff that there's 500 videos on. If you search, I'm not going to bother. Yeah, and then we might do some of what we do in nature, but it probably won't be the focus. The actual traveling, I'd say, would be, and then like, oh yeah, while we were here, we went and did this.
That's something that we've thought about including more of, is the actual hikes that we go on. We do have footage from one overnighter from last summer or the summer before. But honestly, you know, it just seems like people want to watch the Subaru off-roading videos, which is fine. You know, different channels have different types of specialties and content. I kind of want to start experimenting with dehydrating, you know, backpacking meals and, you know, rehydrating them. So that's something that I could make a video, but I don't know if anybody would want to see that. So, you know, it's kind of like we want to do what we want to do. And if you have input, we can see if that's something that we'd want to take a video of, but we don't want to just frame the channel around what people want. We want to make sure that it's stuff that we're enjoying filming and making videos of.
We've been getting into canning.
We have been getting into canning. I think that must be something that you do in your 30s. Like, I've been making my own spaghetti sauce and canning it.
We made spaghetti sauce from scratch. We made...
I made a Bloody Mary mix that is banging.
We made enchilada sauce from scratch.
Yeah.
So we've
been canning. We've been keeping busy during COVID. That's about all we can do. Let's see. You got a POS system and a bar in your house. Yes, actually, because we're cheap, and when our friends come over, we want to make sure that they're chipping in.
Okay?
You got to pay to drink, man.
Yeah.
You guys are fun. Make your favorite cocktail. I could do that. This actually isn't stocked for the season right now.
What is my favorite cocktail? What is my favorite cocktail?
What is your favorite?
Vodka tonic.
Yeah, Brucey tends to be a vodka tonic person.
Screwdriver.
I'm a good old-fashioned, I like a gin martini. I don't even think you should have to say gin martini. I think that martinis are inherently gin. People who make vodka martinis are just upsetting.
Oh, you're gonna...
But I like a good... He said, "Where's sunshine? Do you sleep?" Oh, Beaudry, what's up, man?
Beaudry, what's up, buddy?
You should be on. We'll visit you when we're on our tour.
Illinois would be I-80, wouldn't it? Or Illinois, Chicago. Chicago I-80 goes from Toledo to Chicago. Last I checked.
So Beaudry wants to know if we sleep in the Subaru.
Sometimes we have.
We definitely don't have a permanent setup for it, so that's why we're thinking of building the Suburban into a more permanent sleeping space, and just having enough room for the dogs and us. And
last time we slept in the Subaru, we threw a full-size mattress in the back, and it'll fit. It kind of folds up on the sides, and I can fit, and she can fit, but then it's like us both at the same time with the dogs. It's tight. It's not great. I mean, plus there's the reality of like you pack everything and then it has to be somewhere. You can't just park in the bed. I prefer, if we're camping, to sleep in a hammock. I have this backpacking hammock, one of the Eagle's Nest Outdoors, I believe.
Yeah.
And oh, I love that thing. It's cold, but I sleep hot anyway. The times that I've really been cold in it, it's probably been in the 40s at night.
Right. I'm definitely more of a cold sleeper, but I have an an underquilt that I use, and I can add an overquilt if I want. The coldest I've done in a hammock probably got down to 35, and we were in high elevation then. So it was definitely chilly, and I was prepared, but it was colder than what I expected it to be. I did have a pad underneath, and then of course I was bundled up nice and snug, but realistically the coldest I'd like to do in a hammock is mid-40s, because when you get colder than that, it's just a little bit too much with the wind blowing underneath you.
And the hammock is lovely, especially for backpacking. At least any local backpacking we do, we're going to have trees, but that's not going to be as much of an option in, say, the desert. I don't think we can tie it to 2 cactuses. Oh, cacti, pretty easily.
Yeah, that's true.
I know they make the self-supported kind, that they like have their own stand, and I've seen all kinds of. We've tied it to the roof rack of the car actually, and tied it to one tree before.
Yeah, we've had 2 cars and the hammocks between them, and then we've had 1 car and tied it to trees that were positioned well. So we've made it work, but it can be difficult, and we're kind of spoiled with the East Coast and being used to the trees everywhere. So once you kind of start going out west, we'd have to figure out another system.
Yeah, so that's what's tempting about the Suburban. If you check out Suboverland, it's really just a Suburban. He puts a fan in it, and I don't want to say just. I generally do like some of the stuff, but it's just a set of drawers on top. He puts the window racks that I have that they put the mole, I never know how to pronounce it, racks in. Instead of that, they're wood, but I mean, like, the space between the C and the D pillar, especially on a Suburban, is just wasted space. So like, I love that idea of just some racks, put all your clothes, towels, swim trunks, whatever. Here's the bed, here's some drawers so you can store some stuff, you're done.
Yeah, and it's nice that you can actually have 4 passengers and still have that setup in the back.
It is a Suburban, so I mean, there are houses smaller than the Chevy Suburban, so.
Right, and there's
Actually,
surprised.
When we went to the, I didn't mean
No,
to,
that's
I would
okay.
say, when we went to the Gambler 500, I think the Suburban was bigger than the hotel room.
That was a great hotel room. Nobody watched that video, but dear God, that hotel room. I think our bar here is bigger than that hotel room. Mike said hammock camp definitely beats tent camping. Yeah, my hips don't like laying on the ground after I've been hiking with a backpack. It's just
My shoulders don't
rough.
like it.
Yeah.
So I'm all about that. The only time I don't like it is when it's cold, but that's only really happened to me once. And then, like, you pack it up and it's this big, and then you can fit it anywhere, and it weighs 2 pounds. I mean, it's meant for backpacking, so.
Yeah, that's another thing that keeps me warm is our little dog. So our dogs are Bender and Nibbler, if you guys don't know that. The little one is Bender, and he's very needy, and he sleeps in the hammock with me. So that's an extra little heater buddy for me. But Nibbler, thankfully, the big black lab, sleeps hot, so she wants to lay on the ground. So we'll usually bring something for her to lay on the ground, and she just sleeps.
We have a little blanket she lays on, and like lays right underneath the hammock.
Mm-hmm.
So like, if you have to get up in the middle of the night, you'll step on her. So she's very thoughtful like that.
All right.
I think that's about it. What
Yeah.
time is it? We've done 40 minutes.
Oh, there you go.
Uh,
Yeah, so like we said,
Go
we're
to ramp.
open up to 2 suggestions. If you guys want to do a live stream, like Jordan said, we can give you more notice than, 18 hours.
yeah, something like that.
So we could try this again. And I think from my perspective, Bruce does the moderating, and a lot of people just like his knowledge about Subarus and like asking him questions. So I was part of encouraging him to do this so we could, one, just talk about our plans for the channel, but also give people to ask all those questions about lift kits and stuff like that, because sometimes you just need a sounding board for the modifications that you want to make to your car. So.
One last thought I had at some point, I forget the name, somebody asked pros and cons of a lift kit. If they meant which is the best brand lift kit, that's going to be even tough, because I know there's Ready Lift, there's ADF, there's SLO, there's the guy that melts down the wheel weights. I think he makes stuff for Gen 5. He makes stuff for the older, the EACVs and the carb stuff. And now there's Gorilla Off-Road makes lift coilovers, which was on my very short list. Like I was probably going to buy them soon until I saw this Ironman come up, which is half the price. So as far as that, I'd say they're all. Oh, LP Adventure makes them. They're a Canadian outfit. I've talked to them before. They actually had the canister filter bypass that I wasn't actually crazy about, but I think it was just a bad batch I got. But they make good lifts. ADF makes good lifts. SLO, I forget what it stands for, makes good lifts. And I'm really hoping Ironman makes good lifts because I just spent a big chunk of change on it.
Cameraman Tony just joined us. He said, I made it. Barley.
Cameraman Tony, we're using your mics. Thank you again. Is there anything I can answer on a live stream for you? Even though I talked to you, I probably talked to you last hour.
You talk to him more than you talk to me.
Yeah.
What does barley mean? Is that an inside joke?
I think he just meant barely.
Oh. Does it say? Oh, it does say barley. I'm sorry, Tony. I thought it said barley.
Barley is.
How do you spell barley?
B-A-R-L-E-Y.
Oh, that is barley then. How do you spell barely?
B-A-R-E-L-E-Y.
E-L-E-Y. I have a master's degree in English, guys. All right. What are vowels?
Which one's the consonant
Which
again?
one's the consonant?
Yeah. Thank you all for joining. We'll be making some fun videos. Like I said, Jordan, I don't know if you're still out there, but I'm really shooting for 2 meters, but that's probably going to break something. I'm going to at least get 4 wheels off the ground. Tony, you got to help me find a place to do it. We got to do like a slow-mo test.
Break the car.
Yeah.
Cameraman Tony says, but you're in a pub. We're in our basement, Tony.
Yeah, we're in our house. You were just here the other day.
All right.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, it's been real, guys.
All right, thank you all. Hang on, let me turn off my phone.
Yeah. No, end it. Oh, my mom just joined. All my money went to waste? What does that mean?
What?
I don't know. We'll talk to her about it later.
Love you guys.